The galaxy had seen many wars. Worlds had burned, fleets had fallen, and countless species had learned what it meant to fight for survival. But never before had anyone dared to invade a world like Earth. To most of the galaxy, Earth was a forgotten backwater, a small blue planet circling a yellow sun on the edge of nowhere. It had no starships, no colonies, no influence in the great councils of the stars. To the Zorath Empire it looked weak, and weakness to them was an invitation. Commander Vektal stood aboard his massive flagship, the Dread Sun, as the blue planet filled the viewing window. His purple skin shimmered in the light of Earth's sun, and his golden eyes narrowed with quiet confidence. "Another world to conquer," he said softly. "It will be quick." Around him, officers of the Zorath fleet moved with precise discipline. Their empire had crushed hundreds of planets before. Their plasma cannons could melt cities, their armor could turn aside missiles, and their ships could move faster than light. Earth would be nothing more than another trophy, but as the fleet moved closer, something strange began to happen. A soft signal, almost like a whisper, reached their sensors. It wasn't a distress call nor a weapon lock, it was music. The humans were broadcasting songs into space. At first, the aliens laughed. "How primitive," one of the officers said. "They sing as we arrive to destroy them?" Vektal smiled coldly. "Let them. The song of the doomed has always sounded sweet." The invasion began at dawn across every continent. Massive ships appeared in the skies of New York, Beijing, Delhi, London, and countless others. Their shadows stretched for miles as people below pointed and screamed. The sky turned red with fire as the ships entered the atmosphere, their engines burning like falling stars. Then came the first explosions. The Zorath ships released energy bolts that shattered entire city blocks. Towers crumbled. Roads cracked. Panic spread like wildfire. The world's governments tried to communicate, but their satellites went dark. It was chaos. Pure, blinding chaos. And yet in that chaos, something unexpected began to happen. Instead of surrendering, the humans fought back. Fighter jets scrambled from hidden bases. Old warplanes, ancient compared to Zorath technology, began firing missiles at the invaders. Many were destroyed instantly, but some got through. A few alien ships went down in flames. The first Zorath losses in decades. In underground command bunkers, generals and scientists worked together. Engineers turned civilian drones into improvised bombers. Hackers broke into alien communication channels. Soldiers who had never seen battle before were suddenly defending the world. Vektal watched all of it unfold from orbit. His expression slowly changed from amusement to irritation. "They resist more than expected," he said. "Increase firepower. End this quickly." But ending it wasn't easy. Every time the Zorath forces destroyed one target, 3 more appeared. Humans were unpredictable. Their weapons crude but clever. They used terrain, weather, even their own cities to their advantage. A single human missile strike destroyed a Zorath carrier over the Pacific. The explosion was seen from space. On the Galactic Council station far away, other species watched in silence. The attack had been broadcast live, the Zorath Empire showing off another conquest. But now those watching began to whisper, "Why are they losing ships?" one counselor asked. "They were supposed to be primitive." Another leaned forward, eyes wide. "Primitive does not mean weak." Down on Earth, the situation grew worse for the invaders. Their technology began to fail. Communication systems jammed, targeting sensors disrupted. Strange electromagnetic pulses burst from human satellites that shouldn't even have existed. It was as if Earth itself was fighting back. In New York, civilians ran through the streets as alien walkers advanced. One soldier, armed only with a shoulder launcher, stood his ground. He fired. The shot pierced the walker's armor, and it exploded in a blinding flash. Nearby cameras caught the moment. Within hours, it spread across every human network, the image of defiance, the spark of unity. Humanity began to rise. Vektal's frustration turned into disbelief. "This should be impossible," he roared, slamming a fist against the console. "Commander," said his tactical officer, voice trembling. "They are adapting. They learn too fast." For the first time, the mighty Zorath Empire hesitated, and hesitation in war is death. On the second day, something else happened. The humans sent a message. A transmission broadcast directly into the Zorath fleet's command frequency. It was in every alien language, every translation system they had. It said only 2 words. "We see you." The message repeated again and again, echoing through their ships, until even the hardened soldiers felt a chill. In the council chambers, silence fell. The representatives from 100 worlds turned toward one another, unsure what to think. The Zorath had always been feared, brutal, unstoppable. But now the galaxy was watching a smaller, stranger power, one that refused to die quietly. Back aboard the flagship, Vectal stared down at the planet. He saw cities still burning, but he also saw movement, human movement, and coordinated, determined. He saw fires spreading not from destruction but from resistance. He realized something that no invader had ever said before. We misjudged them. Behind him, the ship's lights flickered. One by one, alien displays went dark as a human virus tore through their systems. Then from the planet below, missiles launched, hundreds of them, hidden in mountains, oceans, and silos long forgotten. As the alarms blared and the fleet began to break apart, the commander whispered the words that would echo across the galaxy. "We thought they were prey." He turned to his crew, eyes wide with fear. "But they are predators." Smoke covered the skies. Cities burned. The oceans reflected red light from alien warships that hovered like dark gods above the world. For the first time in human history, the nations of Earth stopped fighting each other. Now there was only one enemy: the invaders from the stars. In an underground bunker somewhere beneath Geneva, a group of world leaders, generals, and scientists stood around a digital map. Power flickered from emergency generators. The air smelled of metal and sweat. A voice broke the silence. "They came for war," said General Harper, his voice calm but heavy. "So let's give them one." Across the world an operation began, one that no alien could have predicted. The humans called it Operation Dawnfire. It started small, coded transmissions sent through hidden satellites that even the aliens had missed. Every country, every military branch, every hacker, and even small resistance groups received the same message: fight together, no more borders. No more politics, just survival. At first, the aliens didn't understand what was happening. They saw random missiles, hacked signals, and sudden jamming across their radar. But within hours, chaos began to spread, not among the humans, but among the invaders. The Zorath fleet's targeting systems went blind, their communication channels filled with strange human code that replicated itself faster than they could delete it. Their drones began firing at empty air, confused by false signals. Vectal, standing on the bridge of his flagship, glared at the flickering monitors. "Report," he barked. "Commander," said his officer, "our systems are being corrupted by their network attacks. They've learned our encryption protocols." "Impossible," Vectal snapped. "Their technology is centuries behind ours." The officer hesitated. Maybe not anymore. On Earth, the resistance was growing. In London, fighter pilots flew in formation through alien plasma storms, weaving between beams of deadly light. In the deserts of Nevada, engineers converted mining drones into suicide machines, packing them with explosives and sending them directly into alien walkers. In Japan, scientists used old weather satellites to create electromagnetic interference, blinding the alien targeting systems. And in Russia, submarines launched ballistic missiles from beneath the Arctic ice, striking the Zorath carriers in low orbit. Each success was small, but together they began to shift the balance. Humans were not stronger, they were not faster, they were not more advanced, but they were smarter and far more dangerous when cornered. The Galactic Council watched the live feeds in horror. The invasion had been broadcast across the galaxy as a show of power, a reminder of Zorath dominance. Now it had become a nightmare transmission, one that every species could see. Images spread fast. A human woman dragging a wounded soldier through burning streets. A squad of Marines holding a bridge against overwhelming odds. A child, no older than 10, standing in the ruins, holding a torn flag as alien ships burned above. The council chambers fell silent. "What kind of species fights like this?" whispered one of the diplomats. An older being with silver eyes replied quietly, "A dangerous one." Meanwhile, on Earth, human scientists prepared their greatest weapon yet. In an underground facility beneath the Andes Mountains, the project called Prometheus was born. It was a desperate plan, to turn the planet's fusion research reactors into weapons. By overloading them, Earth could create artificial solar flares, bursts of energy strong enough to disable orbiting fleets. Dr. Lin, the head scientist, looked at the screen showing the alien ships above. "If this fails," she said, "we destroy ourselves." General Harper nodded. "If it works, we save everything." As the countdown began, every human satellite in orbit suddenly turned toward the Zorath fleet. The aliens detected the shift, but too late. The reactors ignited, sending a chain of bright flares into the upper atmosphere. From space, it looked like the Earth itself was exploding with light. Zorath ships screamed through the comms as their systems failed. Power grids collapsed, shields dropped, and engines went dark. Dozens of ships fell from orbit, crashing into oceans or mountains below. Vectal's flagship shuddered violently. Sparks flew. His golden armor reflected the chaos around him. "What have they done?" he growled. An engineer turned toward him, fear on his face. "Commander, they turned their power stations into weapons." Outside, human fighter jets rose through the smoke, chasing down crippled alien ships. Missiles streaked through the sky like falling stars. For the first time, humanity had taken the war to the skies. News spread faster than light, across the galaxy, across empires. The words "human victory" appeared on thousands of screens. The Zorath, once feared as conquerors, had been stopped. In the council chamber, one of the alien ambassadors whispered, "If they can do this now, what happens when they reach the stars?" Back on Earth, Vectal stood at the ruined bridge of his ship, watching the blue planet below. He had come to conquer, but now he understood something terrifying. Humans did not fight for glory or conquest or power. They fought for each other. They fought because they refused to kneel. As debris floated outside his window, he whispered the words every commander fears to say, "We have lost." In that moment, across the galaxy, countless species felt the same chill. They realized that the Zorath Empire's mistake was not attacking a weak world. It was attacking Earth, the Death World, home of creatures who could turn fear into fury and chaos into strategy. Humanity had done the impossible. The galaxy was no longer watching a small, forgotten planet. It was watching a rising power, one that had just proven that even the mightiest empires could bleed. And as the flames of the battle faded, one message began to spread across human channels. A signal sent to every surviving ship, every bunker, every nation: "This is Earth, we are still here." The war on Earth had ended, but its echo traveled far beyond the solar system. For the first time in living memory, the Zorath Empire had been defeated, not by another galactic superpower, but by a species that hadn't even reached the stars. The transmission of their defeat spread across 1,000 worlds like wildfire. Every broadcast station, every news network, every council chamber replayed the same footage: human soldiers raising their battered flags over the ruins, alien ships falling in flames through the clouds, and the Earth shining bright beneath them. To many across the galaxy, it was simply unbelievable. How could a species with no warp drives, no planetary shields, no advanced fleets, destroy one of the greatest empires in existence? In the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, a vast chamber of light and crystal orbiting a white sun, leaders from every major civilization gathered. The air was tense. Holographic screens hovered above the floor, replaying images of the battle again and again. Each time a Zorath ship exploded, the silence grew heavier. At the center, the council speaker, a tall avian creature named Railtor, spread his wings and looked around. "The Zorath invasion has failed," he said slowly. "Earth has survived." The words echoed through the chamber like thunder. A heavy-set reptilian diplomat slammed his tail on the floor. "Impossible. The Zorath fleet had over 2,000 warships." A smaller insectoid ambassador clicked her mandibles. "And now they have none." Her voice trembled slightly. "They have been erased." Railtor turned his gaze toward the holoscreen showing Earth. Clouds drifted peacefully over its blue oceans. It looked quiet, innocent, but the images told another story: burning wrecks, destroyed cities, humans pulling each other from the rubble, still fighting, still alive. "They are Death Worlders," said a deep voice from the shadows. Every head turned toward the speaker, a scarred veteran of the Tharkoon Wars, his scales dull with age. "I fought against creatures from high-gravity planets before," he continued. But never like this. These humans, they don't stop. Even when they lose, they find a way to win. The council chamber fell silent again. Some of the younger delegates looked uneasy. Others whispered quietly to each other. What if they come for us next? Someone muttered. They can't, another replied. They don't even have interstellar ships. But no one truly believed that, because the humans had already done what no one else could. They had destroyed an empire using only what they had on their world. If they ever reached the stars, what could they do with more? Far from the council, in the remains of the Zorath capital world, chaos reigned. The Emperor's palace burned. Riots filled the streets. Generals who once bragged about their conquests now hid in fear. The surviving officers of the Earth invasion returned home, defeated, broken, and haunted. One of them, a young commander named Sil Ren, sat before a tribunal. What happened on Earth? Demanded the judges. Sil Ren's voice shook. We thought they were primitive. We thought they would surrender. But they adapted. They changed faster than we could react. Changed how? They learned our language in hours. They hacked our systems. They turned their cities into traps. She paused, her eyes wide with remembered terror. They looked at us the way predators look at prey. The tribunal fell silent. Meanwhile, back on Earth, humanity was rebuilding. The cities were scarred. Millions had died. But there was a strange new unity. Something no war between humans had ever created before. Nations that had once been enemies now worked side by side. Soldiers from every flag stood under one banner, not of conquest but of defense. Scientists who had studied alien technology now worked day and night to understand it. Within weeks, humans had learned how to power Zorath weapons. Within months, they had repaired one of the smaller enemy ships. Within a year, they would fly it, and the galaxy knew it. Spy satellites from distant empires observed Earth carefully. Every species watched, afraid to interfere, afraid to make contact. They had seen what happened to the Zorath. They had seen the fury of the humans. In the council's private chamber, a secret meeting began. Raeltor sat with 5 of the most powerful leaders in the galaxy. The humans are recovering faster than expected, said the avian speaker. A machine being from the Omega Collective responded, its voice cold and mechanical. If they repair those ships, they will soon have access to faster-than-light travel. And then? Raeltor asked softly. The room went quiet. Then, said the reptilian diplomat, they will come for revenge. But one of the others, an elder from the pacifist Ilyari, shook her head. No, they will not come for revenge. They will come for justice. That is worse. The group exchanged uneasy glances. None of them wanted war with a species that had turned disaster into victory. Weeks later, the first human transmission reached the council. It was simple, short and direct, no threats, no demands. It said, to the civilizations beyond the stars, we are the people of Earth. We do not seek conquest. We seek peace. But if you bring war to our home again, we will not wait for you to arrive next time. The message ended. Across the galaxy, millions watched the recording. A human general standing before a camera, his uniform worn, his voice calm, his eyes unbroken. It was not a boast. It was a warning. In the months that followed, strange things began to happen. Zorath patrol ships vanished near Earth's border. Human probes were seen farther and farther into space, and somewhere deep in the night the stars flickered, as if a new fire was waking. The galaxy was no longer watching a small, forgotten world. It was watching the birth of a power that no one understood, a power born from loss, unity and defiance, and in every dark corner of the cosmos, one whispered phrase spread like wildfire among soldiers. Smugglers and rulers alike, don't provoke the humans. Months passed since the invasion. The smoke that once covered Earth's skies had begun to fade, revealing the same stars that had watched the war from afar. But something had changed, not just in the skies, but in humanity itself. For the first time in history, the people of Earth were united by one truth. They were no longer alone. The alien wreckage lay scattered across the world. Massive ships that once blotted out the sun now rested in deserts, oceans, and mountains. Teams of scientists, soldiers, and engineers surrounded every site, studying every piece of alien metal, every fragment of technology. In what used to be Area 51, now renamed the Prometheus facility, a team of scientists worked around the clock. Their goal was simple: to learn. But their work would soon change everything. Dr. Lin stood before a massive alien engine core, its lights flickering faintly. "This ship shouldn't even be able to fly again," said one of her assistants. Lin smiled faintly. "Neither should we. Yet here we are. It took humanity only 6 months to do what most galactic civilizations needed decades to achieve. Repair a functioning alien starship. They called it the Dawnfire, a ship rebuilt from the bones of the Zorath flagship. Its hull was patched with steel, its circuits filled with human-made code, and its weapons powered by repurposed nuclear cores. It was ugly, imperfect, but alive. When it first lifted off from the Nevada desert, the entire world watched. Every camera, every broadcast, every nation held its breath as the ship rose into the clouds. The first human vessel to leave Earth since the invasion. As the engines ignited, General Harper spoke into the global feed. "Today," he said, "we are no longer trapped on one world. Today we step into their domain." The cheers that followed were heard in every city, every bunker, every home. Far beyond Earth, the Galactic Council received the news with disbelief. "They repaired a warship?" one ambassador shouted. "That's impossible. They barely understand warp mechanics." But the evidence was clear. A live feed showed the human ship entering low orbit, flying beside the wreckage of alien vessels. Rail Tor, the avian speaker, studied the footage carefully. "Do you see what I see?" he asked quietly. "They are not just learning. They are adapting, faster than any species I've ever seen." The others murmured nervously. If the humans could rebuild a Zorath ship, they could build their own. And if they could build their own, there would be no stopping them. Back on Earth, humanity was changing in ways that frightened even themselves. Old rivalries disappeared. Nations that had fought each other for centuries now shared resources and technology. For once, humanity acted as a single race, not divided by borders, but united by survival. A new organization was born, the Terran Defense Alliance, an alliance that answered to no single country, but to all of humanity. Its purpose was clear. Never again would Earth face an invasion unprepared. Within a year, 10 new starships were under construction in orbit. Human engineers learned to use artificial gravity, plasma weapons, and faster-than-light engines. Each day they grew stronger, but there was one thing the galaxy still didn't understand. Humanity was not driven by conquest. They didn't seek domination or empire. They sought something more dangerous, security. And for security, they would build power unlike anything the stars had ever seen. Meanwhile, in the ruins of the Zorath Empire, panic spread. Their fleets were gone. Their worlds were in rebellion. Rumors spread that Earth was building a new army, not to defend, but to strike back. In dark council rooms, broken admirals argued, "We must destroy them before they come for us." One shouted, "With what fleet?" Another replied bitterly, "We've already lost everything." Sil Ren, the young commander who had survived the invasion, stood quietly at the edge of the room. "They will not come for vengeance," she said softly. "They will come for understanding. And that will be worse?" The others turned toward her, confused. "You don't understand," she continued. "They don't need to conquer us. They will surpass us. And when they do, they won't need to fight, because we will already be afraid." Her words spread through the remaining empire like a whisper, and that whisper became a truth the galaxy could no longer deny. A year later, the Dawnfire left the solar system. Its destination, the nearest council outpost, Proxima Station. The humans wanted to talk. The station's commander, a cautious being of crystalline form, expected a primitive envoy, maybe a small craft with a few nervous diplomats. Instead, a warship arrived, patched together but powerful, glowing with unfamiliar energy. When the transmission came through, the alien officers stared at their screens. A human captain appeared, calm, polite, dressed in a simple black uniform with the insignia of Earth on his shoulder. "This is Captain Elijah Reyes of the Terran Defense Alliance," he said. "We come in peace." The words were diplomatic. The tone was controlled. But the sight of a human commanding a ship that had once belonged to their conquerors sent a chill through every alien heart. The humans didn't ask for permission to dock. They simply did. The meeting that followed was unlike any in history. Aliens from dozens of species gathered around a circular table. Across from them sat the humans, quiet, observing, listening. When the negotiations ended, the humans left behind one simple message: a new treaty proposal titled the Earth Accord. It stated only one law: no species shall bring war to Earth again. For the next time, Earth will bring war to them. As the Dawnfire left the station, alien delegates watched in silence. They realized that the age of human weakness had ended. The age of human expansion had begun. Railtor stood by the window of the council's upper chamber, watching the stars. His assistant approached nervously. "Should we stop them?" Railtor shook his head slowly. "No, you don't stop a storm. You prepare for it." He looked at the blue dot on the holographic map. Earth. "It was their first war among the stars," he said, "and it will not be their last." The galaxy had witnessed humanity's awakening, and it would never sleep peacefully again. The Galactic Council chamber was silent. No one dared to speak. The last recording of the human vessel, the Dawnfire, still flickered on the central holographic screen. It showed the patched-together ship leaving Proxima Station, its engines roaring with unfamiliar light. A ship rebuilt from the remains of the Zorath flagship, now under human command. That image alone had shaken the galaxy. The Zorath Empire had once ruled 1,000 worlds. Their fleets were unstoppable. Their armies had crushed civilizations that refused to kneel. Yet now, one small blue planet, once dismissed as primitive and chaotic, had brought them to their knees. And worse, the humans had done it in months. High Speaker Railtor sat at the head of the council table, his feathers ruffled, a sign of deep unease. Around him, representatives from dozens of worlds whispered nervously. "This cannot be real," hissed the Serathian delegate, a reptilian creature whose scales shimmered green. "Humans are a pre-space species. They had no warp engines a year ago," the avian speaker replied coldly. "And yet, here they are, flying one of our most advanced vessels." "They are unpredictable," said the crystalline Virex ambassador, his voice like shards of glass scraping together. "They adapt without fear. They rebuild what they don't understand. They improvise." "Improvisation," Railtor muttered. "That is what makes them dangerous." Across the galaxy, the news of humanity's survival had become legend. Some worlds feared them. Others admired them. A few even wanted to join them. But within the council, fear outweighed respect. "What if they begin expanding?" one delegate asked. "What if they see us as a threat?" The chamber erupted into debate. "They already are a threat." "No, they seek only peace. Peace through power. They will bring war to us all." Railtor raised his talon sharply. "Enough!" The room fell silent. He looked around the chamber. "You speak of humans as if they are invaders. But remember, they were invaded. They were attacked first. Everything they are doing now is because of us." The silence that followed was heavy. A voice broke through, soft but firm. It was the ambassador from the Alran, a small aquatic race known for their logic. "With respect, Speaker, their growth defies natural progress. In one solar cycle, they've achieved what takes us centuries. That cannot be allowed to continue unchecked. Their technology must be contained." Railtor studied the hologram again. The image of the human captain, Reyes, his calm expression hiding something deep, something almost primal. "Contain them?" Railtor said slowly. "And how would you propose to do that?" The Alran ambassador hesitated. "Preemptive control, economic isolation, military observation." "If they resist," Railtor's eyes narrowed. "If they resist, you would start another war with the species that destroyed the Zorath Empire in 6 months?" The ambassador fell silent. In a dark corner of the chamber, a faint voice whispered, "Perhaps. The humans should be invited to the council." Every eye turned toward the speaker, a young delegate from the border world of Sethra. Her voice trembled, but her words carried weight. "If we bring them into our system," she continued, "and they might become allies instead of enemies. We could guide their progress. Learn from them." The suggestion caused an uproar. "Invite them? They are savages. They rebuilt a death ship and called it peace. They are monsters." But Railtor didn't shout. He simply listened, and deep down he wondered if the young delegate was right, because what terrified him most was not what the humans had done, but what they might do next. Meanwhile, in orbit around Earth, the Dawnfire hung silently above the planet. Inside its command deck, Captain Reyes watched the stars. Council chatter is increasing, his communications officer said. They're nervous. Good, Reyes replied. They should be. He turned toward the viewport. Below him, Earth's night side glowed with the light of rebuilding cities. They came to destroy us, he said softly, but they gave us the stars instead. Another officer stepped closer. Do you think they'll try again? Reyes smiled faintly. They won't need to. They're already afraid. At the same time, far across the galaxy, deep inside the ruins of the Zorath homeworld, a shadow stirred. The surviving generals had gathered in secret. Their empire was gone, but their pride was not. The humans humiliated us, snarled one. They made us a warning to the galaxy. Another slammed his clawed hand on the table. Then let us make them regret it. If we cannot defeat them with fleets, we will use something else, Quan. What do you suggest? A voice asked. The general leaned forward. The humans fear nothing, except themselves. His words echoed through the hall like poison. Plans began to form, not for open war, but for something subtler. Infiltration, corruption, division. The kind of warfare humans had once used on themselves. The Zorath would strike again, not with weapons, but with ideas. Back in the council chamber, Railtor received a private transmission. It was coded old and nearly forgotten. The sender identified themselves simply as Observer Class 12A, Earth Perimeter. The message was short. Only 3 words. They are preparing. Railtor felt a chill run through him. Who? He whispered. The answer came seconds later. Both sides. He turned toward the stars outside the chamber window. The humans were not expanding yet, but something told him they soon would. And the Zorath, though broken, were stirring once more. A war was coming, one that would not just decide the fate of Earth, but of the entire galaxy. Railtor closed his eyes and whispered, May the stars forgive us all. That night, across thousands of worlds, the same image appeared on every council broadcast, Earth, glowing bright against the dark void. Some saw it as hope. Others saw it as a warning. And among the stars, the phrase began to spread like wildfire. Do not anger the humans. The stars above Earth had never looked so close. From orbit, fleets of half-built ships drifted like silver skeletons, each one humming with the sound of progress. The once broken world had become a forge. Every factory, every scientist, every hand working toward one goal, never be caught unprepared again. In the command deck of the Dawnfire, Captain Elijah Reyes watched the construction feed. Beside him, Dr. Lin, now chief scientist of the Terran Defense Alliance, scrolled through streams of data from the Zorath wreckage. They're watching us, she said quietly. Reyes didn't look up. Let them watch. He finally turned toward her. How long until the fusion cores are ready? 2 weeks. Maybe less if we push the new reactors. Push them, Reyes ordered. We don't have time, because deep down he already knew. The next war was coming. On the edge of the galaxy, hidden in the shadows of a shattered moon, the last Zorath command fleet gathered. What remained of their empire was a ghost of its former glory, a handful of ships, battle-scarred and desperate. General Varkos, the same commander who had ordered the first strike on Earth, stood before his officers. His eyes burned with hatred. They humiliated us, he growled. They showed our weakness to the entire galaxy. But weakness can be disguised. We will strike from the dark. He activated a hologram showing Earth surrounded by orbiting defense grids and starship frames. They think they are strong, he continued, but they are divided by fear.
Humans always turn on each other.
We will make them do it again. Beside him, a technician nodded. Our infiltrators are already in place. The humans call it Project Unity. We will turn it into their undoing. Varkos smiled coldly. Then let the storm begin. Back on Earth, strange things began to happen. Power outages spread across orbital construction yards. Communication lines flickered with false data. Ships malfunctioned in impossible ways. At first, the engineers blamed software bugs, but soon Dr. Lin realized the truth. Someone was tampering with their systems. These aren't errors, she told Reyes. They're messages. Reyes frowned. From who? Not who, she said. What? She played back the corrupted code. Between the static, faint alien symbols appeared. Zorath encryption. Reyes clenched his fists. So they're still out there. He stared out the viewport toward the stars. Then we end it. For good. A week later, the Dawnfire led a new fleet, 10 ships strong, on humanity's first true mission beyond the solar system. Their destination? A faint distress signal near the galactic rim. But it wasn't a call for help. It was a trap. When the fleet dropped out of warp, they found wreckage, not human, but Zorath. Thousands of destroyed ships all floating silently, the remains of an empire. This is impossible, one officer whispered. Impossible? Reyes said softly. No, this is a warning. Then the scanners lit up, hundreds of energy signatures flaring to life among the debris. The ambush had begun. Missiles streaked through the void. Plasma fire lit up the darkness. The humans fought back fiercely, their ships moving with chaotic precision. Unpredictable, unorthodox human. But for every enemy destroyed, 2 more appeared. This is it, Lin shouted over the comms. They want to wipe us out before we fully rise. Reyes gritted his teeth. Then they'll learn what rising really means. He turned to the helm. All ships in break formation. Engage adaptive combat mode. The AI-controlled drones responded instantly, their flight paths shifting in wild, irregular patterns. No alien fleet had ever seen such tactics. The humans moved like no machine ever could, fighting with instinct, emotion, rage, and willpower. Within minutes, the Zorath fleet began to falter, but Reyes wasn't satisfied. Target their flagship, he commanded. Bring me Varkos. The battle ended with silence. The Zorath flagship floated powerless, its hull burning. Reyes ordered a boarding team. Inside, they found Varkos, wounded, but alive. When Reyes stepped into the command chamber, the alien general spat. You should have stayed on your world. Reyes looked at him calmly. You should have left us alone. You think you've won? Varkos hissed. You don't understand the galaxy. They all fear you now. They will turn on you. The Council will never allow your kind to rise. Reyes stared for a moment, then spoke quietly. Then they can try. He raised his weapon and ended the war with one shot. Weeks later, back at the Galactic Council, Railtor received the report. The Zorath were gone, completely, not defeated, erased. The council chamber was filled with disbelief. They destroyed an entire fleet? In open space? With only 10 ships? Railtor's feathers flattened. No, he said softly. They destroyed a legacy. He stood and faced the council. You all feared the humans, he said. You mocked them, watched their suffering, and debated their extinction. But now, he turned to the holographic map where a new blue star pulsed near Sol. Now they are the storm we created. The chamber fell silent. In orbit, Captain Reyes watched Earth grow smaller as his ship prepared for the next mission. Dr. Lin stood beside him, holding a small data crystal. What is it? He asked. Everything we've learned, she replied. Every alien code, every technology, all of it, Reyes nodded. Good, because we're going to need it. She looked at him curiously. Where are we going? He smiled faintly. Everywhere. As the Dawnfire turned toward the endless stars, Reyes whispered to himself, They called us savages. Now they'll call us something else. Far across the galaxy, Railtor watched the feed of the human fleet disappearing into the void. His aide whispered, Should we stop them? Railtor shook his head. No, not anymore. He gazed at the screen, at that small blue world that had risen from fire. They survived the impossible, he said. They learned from their enemies, and now, they're learning from us. He looked down, almost in awe. The humans don't conquer worlds, he whispered. They conquer limits. That night, every major species in the galaxy received the same transmission. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a warning. It was a statement. This is Earth Command. We are no longer victims. We are explorers. We are survivors. And if you come for us again, we will come for you first. In the silence of space, the galaxy listened. And for the first time in its long ancient history, it was afraid.